I got the highs and lows from yesterday.
It was really hot and muggy, and it never got cool. There you are, the highs and lows.
That's true, and I went out at J.C. Park, and I thought, at 9 o'clock last night, I thought it was just kind of sticky.
It was still warm and muggy.
Of course, this is nothing like, I was talking earlier, I lived in Alabama and Mississippi. Alabama, we were on the Gulf Coast, Mobile Bay and the Gulf Coast, and then up in Mississippi, which, 80-90%. And what's really fun is the middle of July, where it's 96, 98 degrees with 98% humidity.
No reason to ever shower.
Ever.
Because when you get out, you're sweaty again.
Yeah. Well, and we had invested in and had a bunch of insulated glasses. Because if you didn't have the insulated glasses, all the sweat coming off the glass, and so you'd have to have like paper towels and all this other kind of stuff. And then if you had a towel or a napkin and you set your glass on top of it, it would stick to the napkin. So here's a little trick: you take a little salt, and you just kind of sprinkle a little bit of salt on the napkin that your glass is sitting on, and then the glass won't stick to the napkin.
Interesting.
It's like an upside-down margarita. No, I'm just
kidding.
No, you don't put that much salt on it. You just kind of sprinkle a little salt on the napkin on the table. But see, we don't deal with those things out here generally.
Very, very seldom. This is the week of the year we get to deal with it.
That's right. That's right. And then when we packed everything up in the truck to move from Mississippi to New Mexico, it rained, and we in between raindrops getting stuff in the truck and all that kind of stuff. And I remember we drove cross Texas, and we got here and we pulled up where we were going to unload, and I threw open that door on the U-Haul, and all that humidity just came.
It instantly dried up, though.
It did.
My guess is when you got here, it was dry.
It was trapped in the truck, and it took it about 2 seconds to evaporate into the air.
Yeah.
And all that. Well, how was your 4th?
Good day. My daughter and my wife weren't here, so I missed them. But they're at church camp, youth church camp down in Texas with Faith Baptist. But good day. Church services were great, and then spent the evening with family, my parents, my brothers, and all the family, and had a good time. Cooked out and made some hamburgers and hot dogs, and then watched some fireworks from the house over there. So
yeah, well, I bet you had a pretty good view of not just the neighborhood fireworks, but the city's fireworks,
well,
too.
One thing that I found interesting this morning, when I got up, I looked on my feed, and it seemed like everybody was talking about how many people were shooting fireworks last night. On our street, they were really firing them off. So we could see those. We could look across over to J.C. Park and see those. But just in town, looking into town, of course, we got a lot of big trees, but still, it was like they were cooped up. Everybody was just ready to fire those fireworks. And it seemed like they were going off on every street and in every neighborhood.
Driving home, we dropped all the stuff off here and then headed to the house, and I had to take about 3 different detours because most of the places that I normally turn to go to get to the house, there's people out in the street
middle of the
launching
street
stuff.
firing stuff off.
I didn't want to drive through that.
Right.
I thought that'd probably be bad. You have some mad neighbors, if I try to
get them out of the way by driving through them.
Yeah. So I finally found a route to where I could get to the driveway and get into the house without disrupting all of the celebrations that were going on.
Right.
There was a bunch, no question about it. And then about 3 o'clock in the morning, a thunderstorm came through, kind of washed off everything off the streets. And
I don't know how much it rained, but it looked like it rained pretty good. Do you have that total?
Well, at the Ag Science Center, they got 1/1400ths of an inch of rain overnight.
So that's not as much as I would have thought, but it rains a little different everywhere. At my house, had some pretty big puddles and, so pretty big lakes almost, kind of like what happened. So I knew it didn't rain, obviously, like it did last week, but I didn't even hear it. I didn't even hear the thunder and lightning or nothing. I was sound asleep, and I've had a lot of people saying that people were still shooting fireworks off at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, but I didn't hear those either. So my house is pretty insulated.
Yeah, I missed those. I was watching my own version of my Independence Day movies, and I started watching the movie Patton with George C. Scott. And everybody remembers the opening of the movie. Starts with the American flag.
Patton
Walking out and giving his speech. I was reading some trivia on that. When George C. Scott, got hired to do the movie, and he looked at that part of it, he said, "That's not going to be at the beginning. That can't be at the beginning. You cannot have that at the beginning. If you put that at the beginning, I will not do this movie." And the director said, "Fine, it won't be at the beginning of the movie." And they shot it, and it was at the beginning of the movie.
It was changed later to put it at the beginning.
It put it at the beginning. Well, and the things that he said, that George Scott said, that were attributed to Patton, were cleaned up versions. In other words, George Patton didn't give a speech where he said all of that at one time, but the things that were said in that speech were things that Patton had said over time, and they consolidated into that one speech that he gave. The uniform and the medals that he was wearing, Patton never really wore all of his medals all the time at stuff. His wife asked him to put on all of his medals one time for some photographs, and so they used those photographs
to build
his outfit for that speech. And the pearl-handled revolvers that he was wearing in that speech were George Patton's actual revolvers. So they got permission to use those when he did that.
Interesting stuff.
I found it interesting, and so I've started watching that movie. But that's me. Hey, let's talk some fishing, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. And one of the things that I do, and I haven't thanked you for this, but I'm going to thank you right now. So, and those of you out there listening, if you're not a follower on Facebook of KSVP Radio, you need to be. For a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is because all of these interviews that Gene does, he later in the day typically goes back and posts them separate interviews onto Facebook, so you don't have to actually see it live if you can't get in, during the morning hours when Good Morning Artesia is on. And generally, I go back and share the one I do because I want friends of mine that are around the state that maybe don't follow KSVP Radio and or can't get on in the morning for whatever reason, that they can watch it because it's a great way for me to give updates and to talk about our local club, Pecos Valley Bassmasters, and then for people to see it later in the day or anytime really, because it's on your Facebook page, plus I share it. And that is even more true this year because I'm the Secretary and Treasurer of New Mexico Bass Nation. And even though I use email and I send a lot of emails out and text to the folks that I've got phone numbers for throughout the state. This is just another avenue. And of course, I use our Facebook page, New Mexico Bass Nation page, to put information out there. I also use Pecos Valley Bassmasters page to put information out there. But all of these ways seems to filter through, and it seems like everybody sees it somewhere.
Right.
So I wanted to thank Gene publicly for that, and it's a great deal for all of those that are. Have an opportunity to be on your show throughout the week or throughout the weeks. I know that it's good for those organizations because that's what basically it is people that have organizations or businesses that you interview, and that's a great thing. So having said all of that, this week is our final 2 qualifiers of the year for New Mexico Bass Nation. We have 4 qualifiers annually, and those qualifiers are designed to pick our team to represent New Mexico in the next year's regional bass championships. And so the way that the teams are picked is we have the 4 tournaments. They're one-day tournaments. You either fish as a angler or a co-angler, or I call them boaters or non-boaters, but there's a lot of terms. And then the top 10 boaters or anglers, based on the points that they earned in their top 3 out of the 4 tournaments. So we get to drop a tournament. You may have a bad tournament. You drop those points. Your top 3 tournaments collectively, point-wise, then determine the top 10 anglers and the top 10 co-anglers, and then a alternate for each. So we take 22 people, men and or women, represent New Mexico at the next level of BASS, which is the regional championships. And I haven't been involved with New Mexico Bass Nation really up until this year. As a club, about 3 years ago, we rejoined New Mexico Bass Nation, and we had club members that made the team over the last 3 years. I hadn't been fishing the qualifiers, but this year, having taken on the responsibility, agreed to take on Secretary Treasurer, I decided, well, if I'm going to be involved at that level, I need to be fishing the tournaments as well. So
Sure.
So I did fish. I have been fishing with New Mexico Bass Nation, and our last two qualifiers for the 2022 team are this coming weekend. Saturday is the third qualifier. Sunday is the fourth qualifier. And all of the active current New Mexico Bass Nation members all over the state have been receiving emails from both myself and from our tournament director over the last 2-3 weeks leading up to this. And one of the things that we did this year that's a little different than what they've done in years past is we're utilizing technology in terms of sending out the invoices for the entry fees, and which allows a lot of things for us as officers. We don't have to have a really long, drawn-out meeting on the Friday night before the weekend. We don't have to handle a lot of cash. You know, guys show up and pay there, and a lot of times they would bring cash, is my understanding. So it allows them to get entered, get everything taken care of. We have a deadline. The deadline is today.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that may see this, that it's a member of New Mexico Bass Nation, should already know that, but again, I want to filter through to everyone. The deadline is today at 5 p.m. The invoices were emailed out from PayPal directly. If you are listening and or watching this and you're a member and you say, wait, I never got an invoice, please email us. You can email or get on Facebook and go to our New Mexico Bass Nation page and message us, that we can get.
I actually have. If you number 3, I actually got it all squared away.
Okay, well, that's Pecos Valley Bassmasters. If you can go to New Mexico Bass Nation,
okay,
is what I'm talking about right now.
Gotcha.
And there's a way to message us there. So please, if you're hearing this and or watching it on Facebook and you say, wait a minute, I never got my invoice. I want to fish the tournaments, but I didn't get the invoice. Please go to New Mexico Bass Nation. That's not that one, the next one. Down below. The second, yeah, that one.
Right there.
So we have two different pages. The one that Gene was showing there was New Mexico Bass Conservation and Youth page. This is our official New Mexico Bass Nation page.
Okay.
So you can you can follow us there. Please do, and also you can message us there. So if you need the invoice, you never got it, or you didn't see it, you missed it, and you want to fish this weekend, you still have time to get in without paying the late entry fees on Friday night there at the lake by messaging us there. You see the message button right there on the page.
Yep.
Click that. I'll check it all throughout the day. I get notifications when we get a message, and I will send you the invoice. To enter as an angler, it's $220. It's $110 for each day. The $10 is for the big bass entry fee. You don't have to pay that if you don't want to be in that, but 99.9% of people do, because you never know, you might catch a big bass and then win a big pot.
Yep.
So that's $220 total for the weekend. For the co-anglers, it's $120. And I'm going as a co-angler. Since we fish off the back of the boat, we don't control the boat. We really can't control where we go. We don't have to pay as much. So it's $50 plus the $10 for the big bass. So $60 a day, or $120. The invoices have been sent. A lot of folks have gotten entered, but we still have some that fished the last two tournaments that aren't entered. So if you haven't got entered yet, please go to your invoice, get that taken care of. If you choose not to do that, then Friday night, the late fee is $20 per angler per tournament. So instead of $220 as an angler, you'd be paying $260
right
for the weekend. Instead of $120, you'd be paying $160. You can do that if you choose to do that. I just ask that you bring a check or a money order payable to New Mexico Bass Nation. If you bring cash, we're going to take it. But I'm just, as the Secretary Treasurer, one of the things that I've learned over my years being involved with a lot of different organizations is try never to take cash.
Right.
Because I don't want to be responsible for it. I don't want to have it somehow end up missing from me, or me somehow lose it, or me think it's mine.
Right.
I wouldn't, but you just never know. And so cash is, and plus if you use a check or a money order, if you're not going to, any one of those three, either PayPal, there's a good clear trail. We know it was paid. It's
right.
all digital. It goes straight into the New Mexico Bass Nation check account. I don't have to touch anything except for keys
right.
on a computer. If you do end up wanting to pay at the tournament, you're willing to pay the late fees, all of that, I'm asking that you bring a check or a money order. Same thing applies. If I were to lose that check or money order, it can be tracked, it can be canceled, a new one can be issued. There's no if somebody stole it, they would have a harder time cashing it because they're not New Mexico Bass Nation.
Right.
If you bring cash, we're going to take it. I just ask that you don't. So anyway, also we had a tumbler, 30-ounce New Mexico Bass Nation engraved on them tumblers made for a fundraiser. Same thing applies. If you have ordered those, the order deadline, we got moved 3 times. The final deadline was Friday at 5, so we're done ordering those. But if you bought tumblers and you haven't had a chance yet to pay the invoice, you should have received an invoice, number one, through via PayPal. If you didn't get one, reach out. Message me on Facebook. If you did get it and you haven't had a chance to pay it yet, please get that done by this Thursday. I'm going to be taking all tumblers to Conscious, except for the ones that are local. So Gene and Lana bought a tumbler. I'll bring those to you guys here at the station. But everybody else, if you haven't told me, and I haven't had anybody tell me this, that you're not going to be at the tournament, but you bought tumblers, then you need to reach out and we need to make arrangements to have them shipped to you. But everybody else, I'm going to take them to Conscious. I'll have them there Friday night. I plan to get those out Friday night. So please be there Friday night, which everybody should be anyway that order tumblers.
You're going to have a box of tumblers.
I've got a, well, I was thinking about it, Gene. This job doesn't pay anything, but it takes some time and effort to do all of this.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. I'm going to go pick them up either today or tomorrow. They're ready. And I was thinking, man, I need to have them separated and somehow packaged so it makes it easier for me at the event. Now I could just take the whole big box.
You could do that.
And then just say, as people come up, dig through it. But I think I'm going to try to individually somehow something. I don't know. And if anybody has any ideas out there, maybe they're 30-ounce tumblers, and some people ordered a lot more than one.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out boxes. If you know where I can get free box, maybe you do. Where I can get some boxes or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, tumblers will be picked up Friday night, and then we'll be fishing. And so that's New Mexico Bass Nation.
And that's this week?
That's this weekend. Saturday and Sunday. Pre-fish is Friday from daylight till 5 p.m. You got to be off the lake by 5. Off limits starts today, so nobody can be on the lake after noon today, I believe was the off limit deadline. And to confirm that, please go again and look at your emails you've gotten from Gabe Rivera, our tournament director. But so you can't fish on Conscious all week until Friday morning, daylight, and then you've got to be off the lake by Friday, 5 p.m. That may be on there, Gene. I don't know. Probably is on our page.
There's your tumbler form there.
Yeah, there's the tumbler form, which is over. But anyway, Saturday, Sunday, we'll be fishing. Looking forward to it. Sunday evening, we should know who made the team. The officers, we collectively get together and we go through the results of those 2 days, and then we input them all in. We'll have the computer with us with the first 2 tournaments, and we input everything. And Mike Hill, our vice president, did that we all helped, but he was inputting it when we were at Possum Kingdom back in February, which we had to do for the 2021 team.
Right.
Because we couldn't fish last year, as you know, in New Mexico. So anyway, we'll input those. We should know who the team is Sunday evening. And then if people say, well, I can't go, I made the top 10, but I've decided I can't go, don't want to go, then we just go up the list, number 11, number 12, number 13, until we get a full team.
Right.
So that's how that is done. And then from there, we'll plan for the tournament, which will be somewhere in one of the states that we fish. There's 8 states that are in the central region. Could be New Mexico, I guess. We don't have any. I would think if it is New Mexico, it'd be up at Navajo Lake. It's got to be a place where there's enough room for, 160 people to stay.
Sure.
And with enough infrastructure to handle that kind of influx on a weekend, or actually a whole week. But anyway,
will that be this year, or will that be in the spring?
That'll actually be in the spring of next year.
Next year, like this year's was.
Like this was this year in Kansas.
You went to in Kansas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's New Mexico Bass Nation. That's where we're at. For Pecos Valley Bassmasters, we have our July tournament coming up the last weekend of this month. Well, actually, the fourth weekend. I think there's 5 weekends this month in July. It's the 24th and the 25th. We're going to be fishing at Lake Fort Phantom Hill, just north of Abilene. We fished there 3 or 4 times now, and it's an individual tournament. If you're watching and or listening to this, you have interest in it. If you're already a member of the club, then you'll be getting emails from me talking about it. If you're not a member of the club, you want to join, we've had some new members join recently. They'll get the emails. But if you're listening and or watching and you say, hey, I want to fish, go to our website, which Gene is on it now. There at pvbm.club. You click on that join tab, what Gene just showed you, and then it's as simple as 1, 2, 3. You can click on that PDF. You fill out the information. It should be a fillable PDF. If you can't get it to fill out, highlight in that name area, Gene, to see if it does let you. Yeah. So it does. So you can
get mad if people put in Billy.
I don't know why.
Billy Bass.
Oh, Billy Bass. Billy Bass. As long as they got a credit card that pays their entry fees, I don't care what their name is. But you can see there, Gene has it. It's fillable. You can fill that out, and then you can email it to us at Pecos Valley Bassmasters at hotmail.com. And then I will send you the invoice for the dues, which include the state and the national dues as well as our local dues. And then from there, you'll get information every month on what we're doing next tournament. Obviously, there on the website, we've got our tournament schedule, so you can see what's left in this season. We've got this tournament coming up here that Gene's fixing to highlight for us at Fort Phantom Hill. And actually, I don't know, can you zoom in on that a little bit, Gene? May not be able to.
Let's see how do you do a zoom?
You may not be able to. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so July the 24th and 25th, you see that we had either Santa Rosa or Fort Phantom Hill. So we're not fishing any more New Mexico lakes as a club this year. So we'll be at Fort Phantom Hill July 24th and 25th. We'll be at Hubbard Creek August 21st and 22nd, and then back to Stamford Lake September 25th and 26th, and then our championship is scheduled currently for October 16th, 17th, lake to be determined. That's our balance of our schedule. Those are subject to change, those lakes, but right now that's where we're going to fish. You see that they're all 3 individuals, $75 each, and then our championship is $120, 10 or that. We take the top 10 anglers and the top 10 co-anglers for the championship. And again, that's based on our points from throughout the season, the top 5 tournaments that we drop the other ones, kind of like New Mexico Bass Nation does. So, in a nutshell, and I don't know what time it is, but I'm probably running you out of time. I talked a lot.
We've got about 2 minutes left.
Okay, so that's where we're at with New Mexico Bass Nation, and that's where we're at with our local club here in southeast New Mexico, the Pecos Valley Bassmasters.
Okay, well, it sounds exciting, and if you don't have a boat, you can go as a
non-boater. If we can find you a boater.
Find a boater. But, I'm assuming that if people really are serious and they want to get into it, there's probably good used stuff that's on the market that people can look at if they want to get into it that way and kind of get going. And what do you like about fishing? I know to me, I think I would have a lot of trouble because I think I have trouble just not doing anything. What is it you like about fishing?
So when you say not doing anything, I think you're envisioning the throw your line out there and then sit and wait, which you can do bass fishing. But a couple things about tournament fishing, you cannot use live or cut bait. So nothing, no food or live bait like worms or minnows. You can't use any of that.
No explosives.
No explosives are allowed. And so it's
there is skill to it.
You have to learn how to catch them. You know, we've talked a little bit about that before. You've got to learn how to present the lure, which is artificial, so it's not real. So you got to trick the bass into biting it by learning how to present whatever you're fishing with, whether it be, a live speed bait or something you reel in is basically you just reel it in, but you can even change up the cadence of the reel. You can let it sink and then reel and then sink and then reel. But the point is you have to basically, for lack of a better way to say it, you got to trick the bass into biting your bait because it's artificial. So
there's work involved.
There's work involved, and you never really are bored. I mean, if you're fishing and trying to catch fish, you're working your bait, even if it is something you're leaving just sitting.
Yeah.
You're still going to work that bait, and you're constantly wanting to feel a bite.
Yeah.
A lot of people that first start out, they think they never get bit. They never catch fish until they start learning.
Recognize it.
They don't recognize the bite. And so there's the skill level, and that's one of the biggest things I enjoy out of it is trying to do that, trying to catch a fish, trying to trick them, and trying to feel that bite, and trying to get them into the boat because they're hard to hang on to. So, and then lastly,
yes.
Well, go ahead.
No, we're out of time.
We're out of time. Let's go.
All right. Call Joby if you want to know more. PVBM.club,
Yep.
or look for the New Mexico Bass Nation on Facebook.